Good evening, ladies and gentlemen of the knife community. Stag Sunday, so obviously I'm talking about a stag example. And this is a not very well documented company as far as its earlier years, but they've been around since 1882. And what you've seen me scratching and polishing on, this knife had a little bit of rust, but not horrible. Just trying to remove any active corrosion before I put it in the box with the rest of them. This is a sportsman's pattern, lock blade on the main blade on the cutting edge, stag handles. German examples. I do like German made knives. Have since I was young, due to owning one of my first hunting knives was an edge mark, typical German hunting knife, stag handle, threaded tang with a brass pommel nut. And I had that knife for many years, and seen tons of them in flea markets and antique shops growing up, and nobody knew much about them, so I've dedicated quite a bit of time to studying German knives just because of their uniqueness and the lack of information that I could find on them when I was younger. They're still hard to date just because the German cutlery market, just like America, had a lot of, contract knives going on. This company made knives for this company in this pattern and that pattern, and not real well documented. And since we don't live there, obviously, the paper trail is a lot harder to find. You just got to look at examples and go off of experience and make conclusions. But anyways, you see the stag on the shield there. It's kind of hard to read. It's kind of rubbed down. This is Weidmannsheil, or all one word, Weidmanns. Now, looking at this, you would assume it was Weed or Weidmanns shell, but the actual pronunciation of it that I've researched and found is Weidmannsheil. Weidmannsheil. Now, Weidmannsheil was a trademark by Wilhelm Weltersbach, and they were one of the earlier companies. Well, I say one. Many companies outdate or will predate these, such as Robert Class and Henkel's, Friedrich Herder, but Wilhelm Weltersbach was documented from 1882 to 1994. And in America, they were unknown to many knife enthusiasts because they were mainly marketed in Germany. They did not export a lot of knives. So there's not a lot of older Weidmannsheil knives in the States. Just like the Friedrich Herder example I've shown in one of my other videos. Now, when you see that word Weidmannsheil, you notice it's one word on the edge, and it's two words on the tang stamp. Weidmanns breaks down to hunters or huntsmen, similar to Jaeger, which is hunter. And Heil breaks down to salvation, health, well-being, unhurt, undamaged, unscathed, healed, just being in a whole state, healthy. So the term Weidmannsheil translates to good hunting. Good hunting as in past tense or post tense. Or I'm messing that up. As in, yes, maybe I'm not. I'm getting it confused in my head. I'm good at that. You'll see that if y'all pay attention. Past tense or post tense. Good hunting as in good luck on your hunt. Past tense. I wish you good luck on your hunt. Or post tense, after the hunt, as in good job on your hunt. Good hunting, like good kill, success, congratulations. So, kind of a dual purpose on the meaning of Weidmannsheil. Lockback main blade. And a multi-purpose bone saw. You've got your 2 rows of teeth, super aggressive saw, cap lifter. Gotta stop oiling these before I take the video. So, large main blade, bone saw. And the bone saw has dual nail necks. You have one further back here, and then one towards the tip here. Saw, cap lifter, and if you wanted to, a crude flathead screwdriver on the tip. So you basically got 3 tools on this blade. Definitely a sportsman's pattern. And this has, I forget what you call this design, but where the tang has the notch cut right behind the spine of the blade that hooks in to lock. Very stout design. Got most of the rest off of it. Now I'm just leaving fingerprints. So, Wilhelm Weltersbach, 1882 to 1994, unknown to many knife enthusiasts in the States. Their stag emblem or trademark was mainly marketed in Germany to the German market, civilian market. And there are also Weidmannsheil knives with a boar shield or tang stamp that were mainly for the Austrian market, marketed in Austria. So if you come across a bore marked Weidmannsheil, it will definitely be an original. Well, I say definitely. There's always possibilities for reproductions. Now, Wilhelm Weltersbach was famous for the Springer line of knives. They made the many German lever lock switchblades. Most likely, they made the lever lock knives for many companies, such as in the early days of Hubertus, the Kissing Crane Robert Class examples, possibly Anton Wingen Jr. And honestly, I would not be surprised if they made this one. Boker had a line of lever knives in the 80s. Weltersbach was a pretty big producer of the German lever knives. And from my research and speculation, I think Weltersbach made most of the lever knives that come out of Germany, no matter whose name was on them. I could be wrong about that, but that's what my research is kind of pointing towards. This here is a Boker Tree Brand 715 stag handled, Solingen, Germany. Once again, there is no definitive proof of this statement, just speculation from examples I've seen and research I've done. Most German lever knives are made on contract. Nobody has the paper trail. Sorry, I like this knife a lot. And this example has a nail nick, just in case your spring fails. Like if I hold this spring that actuates the switchblade and the lock, you can see this one still has a back spring. Even holding the lock, it will snap open. It is not totally dependent on the actuation spring. Really like that. Tangents, my bad. So, Weidmannsheil, Wilhelm Weltersbach, famous for the Springer line of lever lock knives, most likely made many German lever lock switchblades. And the last of Weltersbach line of cutlers died in 1991, and all output had stopped by 1994. And that's when you enter Jim, or some people refer to as James Parker, and his rich history in the jobbing world. And when Parker come in, him and the owner of the Albert's factory dealt with the widows of Weltersbach and bought the remaining inventory, and Albert's continued the Weidmannsheil line of knives offered in the States through what was Parker's knife collection service. Tennessee Valley Knife Works, Tennessee River Knife Works, something like that. I'm drawing a blank on that one. So there are Alberts produced Weidmannsheils, and there are Weltersbach produced Weidmannsheils. I was at a gun show a couple months ago, and a gentleman had a couple of Weidmannsheil knives. It had a beautiful equal end cigar Stockman, like a cattle knife, without a punch blade. And he had a $300 price tag on it. And I asked to observe the knife, put hands on it, put eyes on it, and just comparing it visually to my examples from the Alberts factory, I was 90% sure it was an Alberts produced knife, so it was going to be a newer knife. And that $300 price tag kind of had me turned off. So I asked the gentleman, I said, man, this is a nice knife, but why do you have a $300 price tag on this knife? And his reply was, well, it's old and collectible. So I handed it back to him. I said, okay, thank you. Have a nice day. When people don't know what they have and just put a price tag on it because they think it's old, it really grinds my gears. I'm 90% sure this is an actual Weltersbach produced knife. Due to comparing it with some Alberts examples I own, Alberts would have never let this fly as far as the stag and the bolster meeting like that on this pile side. The mark sight's good. It's hafted down to the bolster, and the grind lines on the inside of the knife are quite a bit rougher than all of my Alberts examples. So this leads me to believe, could be wrong, that this is an actual Weltersbach Weidmannsheil produced knife. And I speculate pretty hard that this Boker could be too. So there's you a couple of prime German stag examples for Stag Sunday. Or yeah, I'm going to post a link to an article on Knife Talk about Weidmannsheil and how Parker came into the history later on. There are some other forums that talk about the later history once Weltersbach closed. And if y'all get to researching it, it's a really good read if you're thinking about getting into some of the Weidmannsheil knives, because they are ridiculously overpriced, because they are very misunderstood and unknown in the United States. So when y'all see these come up for sale with them $300 or $400 price tags, don't do it. Do your research and before you buy. I was lucky to come into this one that had some rust and gunk on it for a pretty good price. I think I give $70 for this knife. But don't go drop $300 or $400 on these before you do your research, and make sure the person that's selling it actually knows what they have or what they're selling. If they just tell you it's old and collectible and can't tell you any other information about it, just walk away. But anyways, it's Hillbilly Proud 762 Stag Sunday. Hope y'all got something out of this. And y'all have a good one.